Yeah.
It's wild how, and podcasting like Rogan's and some of these guys that are outside of mainstream media have really made mainstream media so much less relevant. Like
Oh
when you
my
can hear
gosh.
mainstream media chirp, 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 and turn on 25 different TV stations around the country, and they are scripting the exact same words.
Yeah.
Please believe us. What
It's the
other
exact
people
same
are a
words.
threat to our democracy, and it's like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. Have you
So,
seen, I mean, you've seen all the clips where they're all gridded out.
box, and they are all reading from the
It's-
exact same teleprompter about the danger to our democracy if misinformation gets out, and they're perpetrating all this misinformation themselves. So people like Rogan and our little dinky tiny town, in our office podcast, and people who are they're looking for information because they know they're being spoon fed a bunch of trash.
Right.
They know that they're not being told the whole truth. And if you're not getting the whole truth, what you're getting is fiction somewhere in the process. So yeah, I mean, Rogan's put things on his ears. And then the question becomes, what's even real? How do you know what to believe?
But we had a conversation recently, just yesterday or the day before, in fact, and this gentleman that we were talking to on the phone said something about how he's appreciated that we have been really open about our feelings about all of the alternative things, vaccinations.
We've been talking about stuff for 25 years that is just now other people. It's fun to watch other people get the light bulb.
But here's what he said. He said, I really appreciate that you guys have been vocal, but it made me feel like for this person that got hurt, we're not vocal enough.
Right. Yeah, keeping a lid on it. There's this fine line because, once you get beyond a certain point, you just know that revealing the whole truth. This was a vaccine damaged teenager. And her family's doing everything they can. But the people that created the problem have no solution for this child.
Yeah.
And,
but my thing is, not even about that person directly, but just that there needs to be more awareness and there needs to be louder voices.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that's nice, I think, about the entire pandemic situation is that it has kind of shined some light in some pretty dark places. And people are asking better questions now, and they're questioning, a narrative that may not seem, when your eyes and ears and every sense inside of you and every cell in your body says something isn't right.
Yes.
You can only ignore that just so long.
Exactly.
And
going back to common sense
right.
is so important.
But we're, again, the layers of misinformation, they're making it very difficult to know what's true. And that level of confusion makes it difficult to know who to trust. It makes it difficult to know what sources to put your resources into.
Right.
And so it's a challenging time. It's a fascinating time to be alive. And then when you look at the incoming administration for our government is looking at putting some people in place that have a very different perspective than the one that we've been dished out.
Exactly.
And that scares a lot of people for a couple of different reasons. But at the end of the day, it really is going to be fascinating to see, darkness is just the absence of light.
Right.
And so when you shine light into dark places, you don't get rid of darkness, you just add light. You can't haul darkness out with a bucket. Darkness is not something you can even quantify.
Right. Yeah.
But when you bring light to a subject or when you bring light to a space, you reveal, here's what's there, here's what's real, here's what's truthful. And the truth will always come out. The scriptures will tell you very clearly, it will set you free. But it's an interesting time to be alive.
While I was working on some of these notes, I was listening to another podcast. Chris Wark, he's the Chris Beat Cancer guy that I refer a lot of people to often. But he had Barbara O'Neill on his podcast.
And Australian lady or New Zealander, something like that?
Australian.
Yes.
And I loved listening to her talk about...
She's very intelligent. She's a PhD.
Nope, she's not.
Okay.
Nope, none of those things. She has she got grandfathered into a naturopathy diploma, I think she called it, something like that. But she has so much hands-on knowledge that she has, and filters that and blends that and weaves that together with God's word. And it was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have Barbara O'Neill on. I think she's going to be down in Kentucky. I think
I think she's doing a class or a seminar of some kind in
Yeah.
Kentucky in the spring.
Yeah, she is. So I'd like to get on there.
But she's another one who is sharing light.
She is, but for a long time.
And they're trying to shut her down.
The Australian government said she'd have to go to jail for 10 years and pay $10,000 every time she tried to educate.
Interesting.
And her thing is there's no crime if there's no victim. And she hasn't hurt anybody.
Right.
And so it's like, but they're still telling her she's got to be quiet.
Yes.
Stop talking.
Well, and she's talking about the disease process and reversing the disease process with things that God's put on the planet.
Exactly.
And so
Using
it's really,
plants.
but see, disease is just like darkness. There's no such thing as disease. Disease is just the absence of health.
Right.
And so when health is compromised, just like when you shut down light, darkness shows up. But it's not that it's there. It's just that there's not light. And health is very much that way. There's no such thing really as illness. It's just the absence of health.
Yeah.
So we have gotten to this place where we chase illness or we chase disease or we run from germs or we hide from, what we think the boogeyman is, as opposed to the mindset of what do we got to do to restore health?
Yeah.
How do I bring more health into my body is a very different question than how do I run from a germ? You can run from germs all day long. We've been talked into running from things we can't see. They're microscopic. And at the end of the day, instead of saying, how do I bring more health how do I bring more vitality into the body I've been blessed to manage? That's a very different conversation.
Yeah, 2025 is the year to thrive, right?
Yeah, you keep telling me that. Well, let's get ready.
Let's
lock and load for another fabulous episode. Ready?
Okay,
There you go. We're
Episode-
gonna just
Past the fire, past the sounds, moonshine through the clouds, saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
kick it off like we always do.
Hey,
Welcome
guys.
back.
Yeah, welcome back. Episode number 53. We have, this has
That's a
been
year.
it's been such a fun journey. I think our first episodes went out on February 15th because Graham was so kind. But we did 4 that day. So
Got it.
We've recorded more, but we've only,
We release one a week, so it
Exactly.
feels like a year. A year and a week, actually.
yeah.
And so, I would not have, the average podcast, we learned this before we
Yes,
started.
and we've talked about this.
The average podcast lasts 7 episodes. And so 53 is no big record when you look at people who've been doing this for years.
Oh my gosh,
We're
you
still
know,
kids. We're still the
How many
young
does
people.
Rogan have out? Like 2,300,
Rogan.
something like that? It's like,
Millions of views every day.
yeah.
Craziness.
Yeah. We have, I think, over 125,000 views, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
I know. Yeah. I did look at the analytics. It's something close to that, I think, Graham, right?
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Most of those are just our family.
family and close friends. Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
And Dolores Ford, you are so amazing, Dolores. Thank you for your comments. They make me so happy. I smile every time I see one. You're the best.
And we, a lot of the things, and we'll talk about some of this health-oriented stuff like we were just talking, but Dolores is a person who is on that wavelength. And so if you want to go through some of this line of questioning, we can actually talk about here's who we are and here's why we do what we do, because it does fit with the narrative that comes from how do we discover health versus how do we run from disease.
Yeah.
And so, depending on, I don't know what gets edited in or out, but our initial conversation was revolving around, darkness versus light and health versus the disease process.
Right. We can talk about that, or we can talk more about, just health and wellness overall, because, it is true. Everything that Barbara was talking about is just like what you talk about. The terrain is, if you set up the environment to bring those germs in where they propagate and grow and thrive to create really serious disease, then you can't keep doing what you're doing, right? What do you do, babe?
I don't know. I feel like I like we're running on a loop, like a repeat loop. Like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but there's no mystery to this.
Yeah.
It's not mysterious. Imagine a fishbowl. Your kids get these goldfish at the carnival, and you got a couple of goldfish in this bowl, and the water is beautiful, and you might put a rock in there, and you dump in a little bit of fish food. But by the end of the week, the fishbowl is cloudy and gross, and the fish are like kind of not that happy. If you leave it that way, if you don't do anything, the fish are going to get sick because now they're swimming in water that's less pure. It's contaminated. They're swimming in their own waste. So when you get sick fish, would you just like dump some antibiotics right into the bowl?
You could do that.
Could.
There are fish antibiotics.
100% true. But wouldn't it be smarter to just clean the water, like replace the crappy environment with a better environment? So there's that whole conversation about, well, I could, if the fish got cancer, would I put chemo in the water? Well, no, I would clean the bowl first.
Right.
Like, let's start with what makes a lot of sense. Would I need to do more aggressive things if the fish weren't responding? I might.
Yeah.
But until I clean the bowl and get them some real food, they're going to continue to suffer. And the body you're living in is no different. You know, nobody gets sick because they're low on antibiotics. You don't, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
If there's an imbalance in the system goes down. You know, but those germs only move in where they have the opportunity to thrive. Germs are like every other creature on the planet. They need two things. They need food and they need shelter. And if we provide it, they move in.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
Right.
It would be foolish otherwise.
Yeah.
And I can throw antibiotics at it if I want, and I might need to do that. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying, no, it's a cause and effect world. And the cause of unwellness is not a lack of medication.
Well, and that's exactly what she was saying, because, you know, they deal with that all the time. And it's the stress hormones that become toxic. It's the toxicity that we live in our environmental toxic.
Air, water, food, all trash.
Clothing even. She's really big
heck.
on the clothing thing too.
Yep. The chemistry in clothing, the chemistry in dryer sheets, the chemistry in fabrics and softeners and all the stuff we smear on makeup and deodorant, all of it is designed for disruption.
Right.
Now that sounds odd, right? That sounds like sinister almost. What do you mean? They're trying to make us sick?
Well, but I don't.
There's a lot of money to be made managing sick people.
There is.
A lot.
Yeah. So, you know, and she had some, actually we should probably link that episode, the Chris Wark and Barbara O'Neill episode in there, because it has a lot of really great information in it for people that are struggling to get well and stay well.
Sure.
And she has some good pointers, some strategies that might be helpful for people as they navigate those types of diagnoses. Her big thing was about the oxygen. They, you know, feeding it oxygen, feeding the rest of the cells oxygen to, you know, suffocate the bad cells and things like that.
Yeah, you have a built-in immune system. If you nourish an upregulated immune function, it takes care of the bad guys for you. If the germ theory were actually accurate and true, nobody'd be alive to talk about it. We'd all be dead. These germs don't go on vacation. They don't go away. They don't travel necessarily. Could you get germs from one part of the world hauling in on your luggage from another travel experience from another part of the world? Yes, probably. A lab in Wuhan, for example. But the reality is you have a system that's engineered to combat that imbalance.
Right.
And if the system's not functioning well, then bad guys win. It's very simple. And we've tried to, for whatever reason, we've been led to ignore the brilliance in the design.
Or try to make it more complicated when
It's
it really
not
is
complicated.
simple. Like I made, like for lunch the other day, I just had roasted chicken. There's my protein. And I had a mashed up avocado with cilantro, green onions, and a little pinch of salt. And there's my fats and some carbs. And it was like the perfect lunch. It doesn't have to be complicated. It literally took me 3 minutes. We can keep things simple. Simple is better. You know, we think that we have to do take these extreme measures to be well. And we really just need to.
That's not very fast, though.
That's not very.
Well,
3 minutes?
You had to prepare your own food.
No, literally it took me 3 minutes.
You had to lift the fork all the way to your mouth. I mean, it's a lot.
To me, I was
work.
thinking this is faster than going through a drive-through with a
Well,
line.
it is. And that was going to be my point.
Yeah.
What we've been led to believe is there's a whole category of food now that has nothing to do with nutritional value and everything to do with convenience and time.
Right.
Called fast food. Like we live in a world now where you don't even have to get out of your car. You pull up next to a hole in a building and they shove it out in a bag full of wrapped up foil crap.
Yeah.
And then you eat it on the way to your next commitment, or you've got to get the kids to soccer, or you got to do this, or you got to be here, or you can't do. And it's not cheap. Like it used to be kind of less expensive. It's way more expensive to feed a family of 4 at Taco Bell now than it is to have the lunch you just described, which is actually nourishing and upregulating.
Yeah. And right, exactly. So, when I work with my clients, I like to advocate for 90 grams of protein, 60 grams of carbs, and 30 grams of fat. And that to me was like the perfect amount, just right there in my little bowl. And it was so simple.
Not hard.
Yeah.
You got to shop. You don't even have to really do that.
You don't have to shop. Like,
yeah, they'll deliver groceries now.
I think does Aldi's deliver 2 gram, or is it they do a pickup, right? Okay. Yeah. I mean, they make it really simple. You can basically shop online and then just go pick it up from Aldi's and $5. Kroger delivered to me for free. Yeah. Whole Foods
You don't even have to
delivers-
get out of your
Whole Foods
pajamas to get
delivers
good
to me.
groceries.
Whole Foods in our area is 30 minutes away, and they deliver free to our house, which is shocking to me. It's like there's really no excuse to get good food. I mean, when it can come right to your house.
Right.
Like,
But I got to
take
prep it.
DoorDash or
I
take
know.
Whole Foods.
It's so much easier if I just unwrap the burrito
Yeah.
or whatever. And so again, convenience is the entire food category
Yeah.
as opposed to nourishment. Pretty much any disease, and I don't care what you want to call it, cancer, you can call it the common cold, you can call it
Autoimmune.
diabetes, you can call it whatever you want. Every disease process on the planet happens because of either toxicity or deficiency. And that means either too much of something or not enough of something or some kind of balance of that. And so to reestablish normal health, it really is a matter of creating sufficiency, which is what nutrients do,
Right.
or removing the things that are creating pollution in the system, whether it's chemistry that's man-made from processed food, whether it's chemistry in the air that we don't have a lot of control over. But if you can remove toxicity and establish sufficiency, what you get is a system that runs really, really well by design and recovers by design. Like if you change the tank water, the fish gets to live. You don't have to pollute it. You don't have to dump stuff in there that would be harmful to its environment. You just clean its environment and then provide the nourishment, and suddenly the fish does just fine.
But it really is the same for people.
Yeah,
Like that is the first thing that
100%.
I recommend is like, let's look look at what you're doing now. And rather than add anything in, the challenge is we've been led to believe that taking a pill fixes everything. Right. And so they're looking for a quick answer when really the answer is taking out a lot of what's causing the disruption in their body.
Not everybody's willing to do that either. So all day, every day.
I know.
I mean,
Well,
I'm
and
talking
this is
people off
where
the
I'm-
ledge
this is where
all
I'm-
day.
This is where I'm getting to. You are here at Living Well Spine Center 4 days a week serving your community, right?
Yes.
Yes.
At
and you
least
talk
4,
about this
sometimes more.
almost every day,
Right.
100 times a day,
Right.
probably, right? And so do you want to talk about why you do what you do?
That's a little bit of a curveball. Why? Well, I mean, I knew in the 7th grade this was going to be my job. I didn't know it was going to be here. I didn't know where we would land. I didn't know you would be part of it. I had no idea
God
we'd
did.
raise children. But I knew in junior high school that I was going to do this. I didn't know to what extent, right? But I knew that was my plan. And part of that revolved around, we started under spinal care when I was in 4th grade.
Right.
And so...
And you were in sports when you were young.
Right. But my mom took a job in a chiropractic practice. And so I got to hang out there a good bit, whether it was waiting on her to finish her workday or whatever. And then we started under chiropractic care, my dad, my brother, and I. And so, yeah, that kind of held me together a lot through junior high and high school athletics and performance-oriented things, not just injury management. But I saw his life. He had a good life. And he was telling people the truth. I got to hang around and just observe everything that I do now, basically. There's nothing new under the sun. I didn't invent any of these things. I just got to participate and cook a new recipe for my own life. But all day, every day, our mission is super simple. It's to reconnect as many people as we can with their God-given capacity for health and healing and restoration.
Yeah.
It is innate. It is built in. from a chiropractic standpoint, everybody has like their own perspective on what is chiropractic, but it's not it's not complicated.
Right.
The
Well,
body heals itself. It restores itself. It's super smart. But all that stuff is governed by the brain. So everybody thinks chiropractic is a backcracker thing. There's all these YouTube videos. Please, please, please shut off your YouTube videos. It should be, never mind.
Yeah.
I won't go off onto that tangent. But at the end of the day, the reality is the nerve system lives in the spine and the skull. Spinal injury lets the bones shift out of their normal place. When the bones shift out of their normal position, they have a capacity to create static in the nerve system, which interferes with the relationship of the signals from the brain to the body. So if I interfere with the signals from my brain to my stomach, does it make sense that my stomach might not do its whole job?
Yes.
So it might produce too much stomach acid. It might produce too little stomach acid. But either way, there's interference in the system that becomes then toxic or deficient. So too much information, toxicity. Too little information, deficiency.
Right.
They create similar symptoms from a digestive standpoint. But the goal is just get rid of the interference. And that's like changing the water in the fishbowl. The fish gets healthier when you get the poison out of the water. And so all day, every day, we've created an environment where we get to talk people off the ledge all day.
And you have the tools to make that possible for your patients.
Well, we have the tools and the tech, yes.
Yeah, the tools and tech, yes.
You know, I've got a staff that's amazing. They operate our technology. So we got x-rays. People are three-dimensional. So why would we take 3 x-rays? Because people are three-dimensional.
Yeah.
So you look at them from the front and the back and from the side. If you could measure neurological function, if you could measure the signals from the brain to the postural muscles of a person, shouldn't you do that? We think yes is the answer. That's why we do that. But that same nerve system is registered. What's my heart doing? What's my kidneys doing? What's my gut doing? They're all connected to the same nerve supply. When they stop, when the nerve supply goes away, there will be a funeral. It's so easy.
The thing that you had mentioned at one point, and you know, because most people think of it as just being chiropractic is just a spine thing or a back pain thing. And when you started talking about how important it is for brain function, that totally clicked for me because, you know, wanting to age well means that we need to stay sharp. We need to have good brains. And that has a lot to do with what you do.
Especially injury to the upper neck.
Yeah.
So when injury happens to the bones in the upper neck, they can actually shift or twist.
Yeah.
And that shift and twist can create changes in the way vascular blood flow gets to and from the brain, the way the brain washes and fills and flushes itself at night. So when you track fluid dynamics in and out of the brain, they can be dramatically affected by misalignment of the upper cervical spine especially.
Yeah.
So brain function is I mean, it's what separates live people from dead people. When do they pronounce people clinically dead? When they are brain dead.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no brain transplants, at least to this point. So the goal is super, super simple. Make sure that the brain and the body are talking clearly, effectively.
No misalignment.
And then you got to put in good food. You got to put in clean water, and you got to get good air. There's you know, there's a handful of things that are essential for normal health and restoration, all of which revolve around the mental impulses coming to and from the brain.
Yeah, and so that, I mean, that's where we're talking about taking something out, taking out the interference, right? So start there. That's very
toxicity.
foundational.
Too much of something, too much nerve impulse is bad.
Right.
Too little nerve impulse is bad.
And you have a tool that shows you that too. Like,
We have
it's
technology
amazing.
that measures it. Here's where she is. Here's where she should be. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Everything's quantifiable. Why would we not quantify it if we can?
Right.
And then you get to help connect the dots for that person. And then they get better. They know when they need to be here. I don't have to tell them.
Right.
You know, one of the things about chiropractic, there's some baggage that people drag in. You know, once you go, you have to always go. Well, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Once you go, you have to learn how to take better care of yourself. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Exactly.
How much or how little of that you get will always kind of be up to you.
It's your God-given right to decide for yourself.
But once you know how the body works, and once you understand the relationship and the connection between the brain and the nerve system and the spine, the question is not how long do you have to come. The question is how long are you willing to neglect the information? How long are you willing to let it ride? Like, how long would you go without brushing your teeth?
Yeah.
How long would you go without, you know, anything you want to keep for a long time is going to require some care and maintenance.
Right.
And we've been led to believe that somehow this body is just going to run until it doesn't. And then when it doesn't work right, we take it to somebody else in the white coat, and they're going to fix it, or they're going to inject it, or they're going to put pills in it, or they're going to cut parts out of it. And we expect that to just go well. It's like, hold the phone. Let me help you understand how this thing works.
Let's try something simple first.
Well, start with what's conservative. If you need to do more aggressive things, and there's a room for that.
Exactly.
Right? If you get your arm chopped off, I'm not your guy.
No.
Go to the emergency people
Everybody's
first.
got their role. Yeah.
But the reality is managing your health and managing your sickness are two very different things. And our traditional system has a very different perspective on that.
Right. Exactly.
So they're here to manage your sickness. I'm here to suggest to you that if you turn some things around, you don't have to manage your sickness. You can manage your actual health and your vitality and your lifestyle, and you can make choices that let you get old much better. That's the thing. You know, we had one of those days today where
Let's talk about it, babe.
Well, you know, everybody thinks our life is all rosy and, oh, those guys, they had such a fabulous day, such a wonderful life. Well, here's the fun thing about being me. I'm
And
just
let's
like
talk
you.
about you. Yeah.
Well, we had a snowstorm over the weekend.
We did.
The first winter storm we've had here in Ohio for quite some time.
Couple years.
Unfortunately, it came on the heels of two holidays, Christmas and New Year's, which were both on a Wednesday. This year, they just both fell on Wednesday, which I think it should be illegal to have holidays in the middle of the week. I think it's not smart.
You've talked about that. Yeah.
Good. Well, today we get here and my snowplow removal guy didn't make the scene. So we had to close yesterday because of the snow. My staff is awesome, by the way. My team was in here on Sunday on the phones, rescheduling,
make
helping
sure
people find
everybody
what they need.
got what they wanted.
And then we took Monday off because the forecast was for, we got somewhere between 8 and 10 inches
We
of
did.
snow.
And we wanted everybody to be safe.
Right, stay off the road. And so today's Tuesday. We always record on Tuesdays. And so today we're going to show up. Well, we show up and there's 3 feet of snow keeping me from getting into my parking lot at 6:30 in the morning. And staff's rolling in and we're all like, ooh, what are we going to do? Because the plow didn't show up. And there was a guy plowing the lot that's adjacent to our lot. And I kind of went up and begged him to help, like just at least bust down this wall so we can get into our parking lot. And he did not have time to do the whole lot, but he did help us out, and for which I was very thankful. And then we had to shuffle the deck and reschedule some people because people couldn't come and go. I mean, it was a nightmare.
No, because they couldn't get out of their own homes in some cases. Yeah.
Well, but we couldn't get them in.
And
There was,
right.
I mean, we
No
had 10
place to
inches of
park.
snow and nowhere to put them. And this is the joy of ownership, by the way.
Yes.
Right? Like if I was
Yes.
an employee, it would be like, oh, let's just have another snow day. Well, when you're owning it, you got to find the plow guy. You got to find the
And count on people to show up.
I was shoveling the sidewalk. I was doing the salt. So it was one of those days that was less than ideal.
Yes.
For me.
This is real life, people.
Well, it is,
Yeah.
and so we're just like everybody else. You have those days periodically,
Sure.
and then we had probably 3/4 of a full day.
Yeah. Which is amazing. That means that, people were able to
Yes.
get what they needed because if they're shoveling snow, then they're hurting even more. And I mean, there's so many reasons.
There's a
for them to
variety of
be
things.
here.
I mean, if you sat out in the front room all day, you think we, cured everything from hemorrhoids to acne, and we don't. The body heals itself.
The body heals
It
itself.
regulates itself. It just does a better job when the brain and the body are talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was one of those days where, and then it's like we get to the end, and it's like, are we going to do a recording? Because I'm really like not there.
Who did the begging?
Must have been you.
Graham was on board. Graham was here.
Well, my point is
Yeah.
that the mission and the message are bigger than me.
Yes,
And I need to
exactly.
put my own like whiny self aside once in a while and know that you and the other, millions of people who don't know how their own body works need some information.
We need-
they need
yeah, we're here
access
to
to
help.
new stuff. That's not new, by the way. The plants that Barbara, what's her name?
Barbara O'Neill was
talks
talking about. And
There's
even
nothing
the
new
studies
there.
that she was talking about from like 1946
Right.
that are just now coming back around like it's new information.
Right.
It's like, no.
But it isn't. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, Solomon was pretty clear about that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
the reality is that there's just been darkness because the light's been hidden.
Yeah.
And so we're just shining some new light.
Yeah.
That's
Even
really,
if we have a not the most stellar day of your life and you're still showing up to shine the light, babe. And I appreciate
well, but
that.
people, and nobody comes here to hear me whine, they come here because they got their own situation and I'm here to be part of the solution. So my stuff goes in the back burner and we just got to serve people and love people because one of the things that if there's one big deficiency, it would be the nutrient of love.
Oh,
Right? People
amazing,
need,
babe.
well, they get through the holidays. The holidays are kind of a stressful time
Yeah.
for a lot of people, and for a variety of reasons. But our goal is to, and I've surrounded myself with a team that if I'm having a day, they can lift me up. If they're having a day, we can lift them up.
Yeah.
But the reality is, we're here to love on people and teach them the whole truth about here's how the body works. Here's what your role is.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain, I'm not going to follow you around and tell you what to eat and what to drink. I'll make suggestions.
Yeah.
But your body knows what it needs.
Yeah.
And if you're unwell, that means it's getting stuff it not only doesn't need, it's actually being poisoned.
Yeah. The nutrient of love is free.
It's not without work, right? You got to be able to put your own
What do they say
shenanigans
about-
on the
what
back
do-
burner.
What do they say about hugs? How many hugs do you need a day to thrive?
I can't remember. There's a stat. I want to say 4. 4 a day to get by and 10 a day.
4 is like to just
minimal.
Yeah, that's like the minimal.
Right.
But you can hug yourself. Like
Well,
if
but you were
if you're
talked
not in a
into, we were
situation-
talked into the whole pandemic thing where you got to stay 6 feet away from everybody.
Right. No.
And you got to cover up your face
Right.
and hide your eyes
Right.
and run from
Well,
the germs.
I'm
and-
just wondering about the hugs.
Okay.
So I'm going to.
Bunch of fiction. It was just a bunch of, yeah, you can figure that out, I'm sure.
I'll figure that out.
But if somebody were to walk in here on any given day, our goal is to not let our burdens
Yes.
become the highlight of the day. It's to let us help lighten your load.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's why we show up.
What do you think for a new patient? What's the biggest surprise that they have when they come into the office? What's the most surprising to them, do you think?
I think the most surprising thing, and we have this happen all the time, but I have a fresh one from just last week.
Yeah.
I have a dad that was coming in with his daughter who is 11. And she is just wonderful. This brilliant, bright, sharp little girl. But you know what? She doesn't sleep. She'll go to bed at night. She'll get into her bed. She'll tuck her in, say your prayers. And within 2 hours, she is awake,
Okay.
not sleeping. And she's wanting to climb into mom and dad's bed to the point where dad doesn't even sleep in that room anymore.
Okay.
Because and this has gone on for 11 years. This
Okay.
person doesn't sleep through the night, which is a fabulous opportunity to display sympathetic dominance, which is measurable, right? So 11 years old. But the dad brought her in for her initial intake. We already take care of her mom. So the mom is like all in, let's get our kid checked for
Yeah.
misalignment. And there's evidence of misalignment. So here's how you check your own kids for misalignment. It's super
good
simple.
idea.
Ready?
Yeah.
You stand them up and you have them close their eyes. You let their arms just hang at their sides. Because when they're in their normal body posture, we should see shoulders that are level with the horizon, hips that are level with the horizon, and a nicely centered head. So if your child closes his or her eyes and they're standing with one shoulder way down, one shoulder way up, their head buckles to one side,
Yeah.
their hips aren't level, you can flip over their shoes and see if their shoes are wearing out on, if the left foot wears out differently than the right foot, you know that's a body that's not balanced. And in a gravity-based world, we are meant to be in balance. We want the same. This is why old people get a hip replacement. They spend a whole life grinding one hip down faster than the other, or the
that's
other
true.
knee, or
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, kids are just little miniature adults.
Yeah.
They should not be in a nice straight stack.
Yeah.
But the dad, so we have our tech and we're measuring his kid, and he's blown away. He's like, this is not what I thought chiropractic was. And we use a technique called NUCA, so it's a little bit different than even what would be probably considered traditional chiropractic.
Yeah.
But it's 3-dimensional. Here's the body in 3 dimensions. Here's where it should be, and here's how we get it there. And then we just measure and monitor the nerve signals along the way. And then this child will get normal sleep patterns and normal hormone patterns and normal growth and development in the coming weeks, maybe months. He's got an 11-year head start. But the goal is restoration of normal. That's it. And then do we teach people how to eat? Yes, we have a nutritionist. Haley's been on. She's our nutrition consult.
Yep.
Do we have some other tech that can be used? Yes, we do. But the goal first is establish normal neurological stuff, normal body balance structurally, and then you got to teach people how to take better care. So the biggest surprise is usually that people don't know what chiropractic is.
Yeah. They think they do just kind of based on
Well, they'll watch YouTube
hearsay.
videos, and that's a nightmare for most
YouTube thing.
people.
Okay, let me go back to the hugs.
Go.
4 hugs a day for survival, 8 hugs a day for maintenance, 12 hugs a day for growth and thriving, and My friend ChatGPT says, why are hugs so powerful? They release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which reduces stress and promotes feelings of trust and connection. It also lowers cortisol levels, reducing stress. And physical touch boosts the immune system, reduces blood pressure, and improves heart health.
Hello.
Hug your people.
And they're free.
And they're free.
It costs you nothing.
Nothing. But you can hug yourself.
We do a lot of hugging in here. I guess
know,
I
you
never
guys
connected
really
the dots
do.
on that.
Yeah, because you serve the nutrient of love.
It's the biggest deficiency.
Yeah, I love
think.
that. Well, this was really fun, babe. Thanks for jumping in here and shining your light so bright.
Well, thanks for getting me out of the rut because I was kind of in a grumpy mood. Everybody thinks it's all roses and unicorns. It's not.
I know.
And that's
Is
that's the challenge with being the owner.
That is the challenge with being the owner.
You gotta get things done.
Yeah. Yep.
And so
But if you're not wanting to be the owner, finding a place that you can love and serve without being
you know what? That's a great point for a commercial.
Yeah.
We are looking for another set of hands, maybe two. If you are a chiropractic student, not happy where you're at, or looking for a place to land, we should talk.
with the senior doctor that actually shovels the driveway.
Yeah. I'll manage the building.
And he does light
You
bulbs.
manage the patients. How about that? And so, but we
And
we
come
should
in
talk.
and have fun.
How can we serve people? How
Right.
can we earn a decent living? How can we have a great time doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the
we're
time
looking.
that you want to live your life fully and be compensated
This
well for
work-life
it.
balance. So here's the ad, right? We work Monday through Thursday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Paid vacation days, paid leave. Call me.
Pretty flexible.
Yeah,
Pretty
call me.
flexible time.
We need another set of
Yeah.
hands. Actually, we need two. I've got a chiropractic student who's going to intern with us.
That's
going to
be really exciting. Yeah.
And he's going to be awesome. And he may turn into our next set of hands.
But you are to capacity, and having people in here having fun with you and serving people in this community will
there's
welcome
no
you
reason
with
people
open
should
arms.
have to wait. Yeah, we're on a waiting list every day, and there's no reason people should have to wait for what we have. So yeah, we're looking
Yeah,
for another
that'd be
set of
super
hands.
fun.
Come on
Ooh,
down.
yay! This will be fun. Let's see what happens.
We'll put a link in the what do you call that?
Show notes.
Magical
Show notes.
show notes.
I think that's the professional term. For
Are we
it.
there
That's what
yet?
I hear everybody say, "Yep, I think we're there."
All right.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and follow. We appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Yeah. Thanks.
I know
babe.
my Aunt Sue and my Uncle Gary are watching.
It's Uncle Gary's birthday
it's
today.
Uncle
Happy
Gary's
birthday,
birthday.
Uncle Gary.
I had to get that in.
we love you. See you. Bye. How you doing, babe? Yeah, ibogaine. So it was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I had heard of it before as a treatment for addiction. What's that? Yeah, addiction, PTSD, depression, anxiety, neurological
herb?
issues.
It's
It is a
what?
plant. Yeah, it's plant medicine. Plant medicine is really becoming
Yeah, but you got to watch that plant medicine.
rage. Yeah.
You said it's not very enjoyable.
It's not as bad as ayahuasca, though. It's not as purging.
Okay.
Is my understanding. I have not done either thing. I have not. I would if I needed to. I think it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
But I
Imagine,
learned.
but yeah.
I learned a lot on his podcast.
It just sucks because it seems like that works, but there's no real
Yeah,
hard studies on it.
they only have like 3 studies. 2 of them were with just like 300 people or less. But the what do I call it? The anecdotal stories about it are incredible, like just life changing. You have to go out of the country to do it, so it's kind of like
Gosh, I can't imagine.
alternative cancer.
Something that helps
cancer
people that
treatments.
you can't get in the U.S. Weird.
I know. Yeah, sad but true.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I just appreciated his guests, and I can't think of their names. There were 2 of them on there, and I appreciated their perspective and their incredibly in-depth knowledge on it. One of them was a governor, right? Was it Texas?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think.
Was that one of them?
Was he a governor or
Governor and like a senator?
of West Virginia, maybe? Either Kentucky or West Virginia. And it's just because for
And
veterans.
this is a guest on Rogan's show.
Yeah, 2 of them together.
All right. I got
and they
the
kind
ignorance
of
on the whole
work
thing.
together. It's worth listening to. It was very, very fascinating. The thing that was multi levels of fascination about it, because here are two men that know that this can help the veterans of our country,
Right.
servicemen that are coming back from overseas, even currently, that don't have help, and they are
Damaged.
Yeah. And this is helping them, and nobody is supporting that, and everybody, but they're finding ways to get down there and get the support that they need there, but the legislation still has it shut down here, and so they're just doing what they can to bring massive awareness to it. Like being on Rogan's podcast is huge, I think, and then just being a resource for the people to come to get more information.
Awareness, and generate a desire or a need.